back to Rebook, the show where we talk about the men and women slapping meat in the middle of the ring and the stories they tell in the process. I am GB or Goldenboy. You got Matt. You also have Jake. He's back. And we are going to talk about what's been going on in the world of wrestling all throughout the week. Interesting week, I would say. Fascinating week of wrestling, depending on
in wrestling, in my life,
and also a fascinating week in general. And then have we talked about the Drake and Kendrick thing yet? Because
yes, we did. We talked about it.
We did a little bit last week.
Thank goodness. Okay, yeah. I'm so glad that we covered that. But anyway, Matt, you're still on the road, right?
I am indeed.
Perpetually on the road forever.
I mean, yeah, this is the last. By this time next week, though, I will be back in the home office and everything like that. Our last run, a couple of shows, and then I got to go right to a TNA show, and then I'll be home.
Nice.
And it's on to the next.
Nice. And Jake, how's everything on your neck of the woods? Because I'm not there right now.
You know, just dealing with sick kitty cats.
Oh,
that's the worst.
That's always tough.
Yeah, well, it's the worst when you got to take them on an emergency vet run, and that deletes your bank account, and then
oh my god,
one of them just decides I'm gonna pee on everything.
Yep.
Yep. And now you're cleaning up all that pee. I want to apologize for the other pee that I may or may not have added in your car when we rode to Vegas. That was the bodily fluid of least concern. Oh, okay. Oh, good.
Did you pull a Dwayne Johnson? Did you pull a Dwayne Johnson in the car and fill a bottle?
Wait. Yeah. I forgot that was a thing.
Right, yeah.
Dude.
It was not a Voss bottle. We can't afford Voss water, so it was.
Look, I know we're talking about stories, but
Aquafina.
Of all the things, though, I thought that was hilarious that people started going over. I'm like, have you ever been on a road trip? Like, come on, of all the things to dig up about somebody, I mean, shoot. Yeah. It was pretty tame. I thought it was kind of funny.
About a nickel for every bottle I peed in.
No kidding.
I would have Dwayne's money.
Okay. So. We got to talk about that, Jake. We should have some therapy and
some tea.
What, you never went to summer camp? Come on.
Oh, that's fair. That is fair. I just, for me, it was, I just pooped in a lot of places. I just
now see that's
that weren't toilets.
That weren't toilets. Yeah. Listen, man, I've traveled a lot. I've traveled to a lot of different places, and sometimes, bro, you got to go to a park and do it behind a tree, and that's just how it is. I dig a hole and I try and shove it in there.
Let me tell you, one day I will tell you the story of how I got food poisoning in the woods on a camping trip.
Oh no!
That sounds awful.
One day I'll tell.
Okay. Hey,
but
if people are ever interested in that,
it's got to be mentally. You got to be mentally prepared for it.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and dive into some business because like I said, it has been an interesting week. My assessment is real quick that Cody and Logan has drawn some ire from people. It feels. And AEW is in an interesting place for me right now too with some of this stuff. So it's been fascinating to kind of see how like wrestling from week to week can really just like a few weeks ago we were like, "Gee, it's the best week ever," and then like now it's like, okay, things are quieting down a little bit. It feels weird. No,
well, that's an issue. I mean, not an issue, or just that's a state of being when you have a 52-week a year program. I mean, you're going to have ebbs and flows. I've often tried to compare it to what did I do? Like almost, in this modern day of, we're all video game people, live service games.
Oh God.
Sometime, season 19 rocks. And then season 20 shits the bed. Like, what is this skin? Right. What is that? Like, there is nothing new. There's no new content. There's one new thing, right? But it's getting updated 12 months a year, right? So there's a little bit of a trade-off. Not every show, not every week can be a hit. Again, if you're going every single week, but nothing felt, to me at least, nothing felt like any of the shows had a big like dip either. It's like
there
nothing were some cool things bad. Or it was like it held steady.
Yeah,
what
nothing
it felt
was
like.
Bad. That is a thing, right? Nothing came like sucked, right? Everything was good. It was just interesting to see, like the assessment, Jake, of some people online. on things.
Yeah, but here's what I think. People, we live in an age of that's an attention span, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
And that's the problem with, and like Matt said, this is a year-round television show that does not end, and it's just like any other television show where, you know what, some of them are going to be slower than others.
Yeah.
This is the kind of stuff you have to do to build a story, because since there is no downtime in wrestling, a lot of times I assume, Matt, and you could probably speak more to this, but I assume you have to find these stories in real time. I think what a lot of it seems to be, and I think this is why it's good that we're having this King and Queen of the Ring tournament right now, is okay, let's see where some of this chemistry is. Make note of that. Give us Ilya and Ricochet later on. Give us, and little things like that, and making these little notes. Okay, that works. They're good together. They're good. Oh, here's a seed that we could plant for something in the future. So it's we're building. I think people are wanting these, like, well, why? I want explosions, and I want big fights, and I want every week, and you can't have that. If you want good storytelling, you can't have that every week. Sometimes it needs to be slower, and sometimes you need to pay attention to some things. And I think just because things aren't necessarily happening maybe as we wanted or even as expected in the main title picture, there's still stuff going on in other feuds. I think that Liv and Becky is heating up. I'm very interested in what's going on with Adam Copeland in AEW. So I think we're building to stuff, and I think they've earned some leeway to kind of see where we're going to go from here.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more, man. Like I think that, like, for me, it was interesting because I'm on the road as well, and filming a different show, State Farm Gamerhood, super fun show that we do every year. And this time around, I hadn't had a chance to like dive into everything this week. So a lot of my consumption has been like watching ups and downs, or catching like some of the YouTube clips. I did manage to see like Raw completely. And it like on everything was like good, everything was good, but it was really weird to see like people online, like, for example, complain that like the Adam Copeland feud isn't going anywhere, and I'm like, wait, am I crazy? Like,
what are you watching?
Yeah, like
then?
what? Like,
it is absolutely going. God, there is no room for nuance anymore. You got to hit people over the head with a fucking shovel to get them to understand character and story arc development.
Yeah,
it is obnoxious.
And it's not like people are writing Shakespeare over here. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty straightforward with some fun detail or Easter egg.
I want to ask these people how much they like the Rocky movies.
Yeah,
because these people probably love the Rocky movies. But guess what? 3/4 of Rocky 2 is Adrian pregnant. That's 3/4 of what that movie is.
Yeah.
Okay? Like,
good call.
But guess what? It's awesome.
Yeah.
It was an awesome movie.
Yeah.
Like,
you care.
Give me a break.
Yeah.
Yes, because you care.
Well, you know what? I'm glad you mentioned Queen of the Ring, because I am going to go out of the limb and say that, to me, this feels like WWE's Continental Crown Championship tournament right now. Like, I think across the board, the matches have been fantastic. We have seen incredible displays, and also I do want to give WWE a big bit of credit, because I like the packages that they were doing for the matches before they went into it. Because it's like you said, where it's like, do you got to beat them over the head with it? I think like for something like King and Queen of the Ring, you kind of have to, and then you also have to make people care about the match, right? I think you have to make people give a shit about what they're about to watch, especially with like Dragunov and Lyra Valkyria and Tiffany Stratton and like some of these, or maybe not Tiffany Stratton, but like some of these newer wrestlers. But yeah, what do you guys think about the King and Queen of the Ring?
I think that King of the Ring has been around for 30 years, and the Continental Crown has been around for 1. So I don't think this is WWE's.
Sorry, I was talking about narratively.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I should have rephrased that.
It's
because
okay. I just thought it was funny.
Yes, the King and Queen of the Ring have been around, or the King of the Ring has been around forever. You are right. But what they did, because I always felt like the King of the Ring in years prior was kind of booty. And outside of the one that Woods won, like the one that Woods won was awesome, but also like I personally knew Woods, so I was like really, really excited for him.
But that's also why, I mean, that's why they're doing this stuff now, because Woods made people care about it.
That's true. That is very true.
People cared about it because Woods cared about it.
Made a big deal out of it.
He really did. And you know, and he is a big voice in WWE, and it makes a lot of sense. But in relation to the Continental Crown tournament, AEW used that as a way to kind of reset storylines for them.
Sure. Yes, absolutely.
And WWE is doing the in years prior where they would have it really just use this as a throwaway tournament to just get heat on someone. You really get the impression that everyone wants to win this tournament.
Also because look at the names that are in it.
Yeah.
Like that's one thing that they haven't done in a while either, is they've got these big names in it that makes you feel like, oh shit, okay, like, I mean, Randy Orton is in King of the Ring. I never would have expected Randy Orton to be in King of the Ring.
Yeah, and I don't think he's going to win it. That's the crazy part. You know what I mean? Because that's an easy one.
It's going to be Gunther. I think it's going to be Gunther.
Dude,
I don't know. Maybe I'm crazy. But
I think it's going to be someone else. But go. Who do you think it is? Who do you think is going to be Matt?
To me, like Gunther is a very logical and very likely choice,
and I'm not mad. And I'm not mad.
I mentioned this in our Discord. I don't know if you guys read it. I was going back and forth with Scan a little bit, but I think it's got to be Jay. Jay has been touted around this main event and everything, beating Roman, being put in these but hasn't won shit. He needs to win. This is a great chance to prop him up with a little bit of an attaboy without just being like, yeah, he's the main event and lose. Yeah, he's the main event guy, he'll lose. Yeah, he's the next big guy, but he loses. Like, he needs to win something. It doesn't have to be a title. Doesn't have to be a title. That's why this is perfect for him.
But make him yeet of the ring. Give him the crown.
Yeah. He's unyeetable. I can't take credit for that. That was also by some of our Discord following. I appreciate all of you guys. Unyeetable is amazing.
Yeah, I did. I don't know if you saw where he tweeted about someone on Twitter asked something like, "Are we cool with Jey Uso having the Fireflies now?" And he's like, "The Fireflies are mine," and did hashtag Yeeter of Worlds.
Yes.
And I was like, I need that on a shirt promptly.
Yeah, that was and also, come on, guy. Like people turning their lights on. It's Fireflies when it's Bray. Like, you know, like when it's his music, it was Fireflies. For Jay, it's just the Yeeters, bro. It's just a couple Yeeters.
Or maybe somebody put up. Maybe that's a breadcrumb for the Howdy Six or family.
Ooh.
Maybe they come to destroy him in. I don't know.
For being the Yeeter of Worlds?
For trying to usurp that legacy. So maybe it's an intentional drop. I don't know.
Which, if I may have a quick sidebar.
Please.
It's about shit or get off the pot time with Mr. Howdy. That's what I almost called him. I mean, with Uncle Howdy, like, I feel like they've been dragging this out quite a bit. Like, there were some clues that seemed like that they were going to be... that he was going to be revealed at Backlash. Yeah. And that didn't happen. I feel like it's... I give them a little more leeway. And yes, some of the stuff that they're planning is very cool and very interesting, but I need to see what the hell is happening.
You just got done telling people to be patient and long-term drawn-outs. And
I know, but dude, this has been...
What, a month?
This has been...
A month?
No, they've been doing this for like 3 or 4 months.
Was it before
They've been
Mania?
doing it since... It was before Mania that they've been doing this. Yeah.
It's been a while. It's been a little bit.
Because they were doing stuff before the Braid doc came out. They started doing stuff before that, and that came out before Mania.
And then they did one on the Braid doc at the end.
But also, it has just been a minute. I think they're waiting for King and Queen of the Ring to be done because it is covering up a lot of the space right now. Especially considering that it does with them like focusing, because when I saw that they announced that, because I think they announced King and Queen of the Ring a while ago, that it was going to be in Riyadh, right? I
thought it was pretty sudden.
Or was it then?
Mean, it was after Mania. It was
but again,
in the last month.
You also look at that and you're just thinking to yourself, oh, cool, they're not going to give a shit about this, you know? And then you end up seeing Gunther coming out and being like, I'm entering into the King of the Ring tournament, and you're like, cool, dude. I mean, that's exciting.
I'll tell you what I wish, another thing I wish they'd have done for King and Queen of the Ring, I wish they'd come out with it a little earlier so people could fill out brackets like they do with NCAA basketball.
Yeah.
I think that would have been super cool.
That would have been
sick. Because they keep making it a highlight, showing it every week, and like, I don't know, that would have been cool as shit to do a King of the Ring bracket.
Yeah.
Like, that would have been cool.
And a King of the Wing, who are the King of the Wings? Right? Who's the king of Buffalo Wings? I don't know. Personally, B-dubs. I like B-dubs.
Joey Chestnut, probably.
Or Joey Chestnut.
Well, if we're talking about
Winghouse, maybe Winghouse.
Winghouse, maybe.
Wingstop. I love me some Wingstop.
Okay.
I love me some Wingstop.
Okay. Agree to disagree.
If you want to advertise right here, I'll sell out for some Wingstop.
Actually, hey, Wingstop, if you want to sponsor this podcast, we would love to have you. Or whatever. But looking at the bracket. So on the SmackDown side, we still have to resolve Randy Orton versus Carmelo Hayes, which, that's a match we're getting. And LA Knight versus Tama Tonga. So that's also going to be fascinating. So there are...
And I don't really know where either of those could go.
That's the thing, because I look at this and I see Tama beating LA Knight with shenanigans, Tama beating Randy Orton with shenanigans, Jay beating Tama at the final, and then you're right? It's Jay. Or... flip side to that, I see LA Knight beating Tama Tonga for whatever reason, and then maybe Randy Orton, beating Carmelo Hayes, which I think is very likely. And then maybe you end up with a situation where you get maybe Randy against Gunther, and then you give Gunther a big rub because he just beat freaking Randy Orton, because Randy Orton has been that dude lately. So, maybe that's a good opportunity for him, or you give it to Randy, because that was my pick. Honestly, I was like,
really?
Randy Orton would be a fun one, man. I think he'd have a heck of a time with it. And what better way to say to the King of the Ring is important than to give it to one of the most prolific WWE superstars on the roster right now.
Our King O.
Yeah, dude, that's kind of sick. I don't know. I think that'll pop off. But
it could be interesting.
What about for the ladies' side? How are we feeling? This is a tough one to call.
Yeah, this one there doesn't seem to have any clear red line paths to the top. I mean, I guess men's doesn't either, but there's a few kind of top contenders, like we were just saying. The women's is a little bit more wide open in my book. Yeah,
it is. Well, right now
I'm getting strong Lyra vibes that this could be a little.
Yeah, they seem to be featuring her quite a bit.
Yeah, that's you don't think so?
No, I don't think so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I like Lyra, and she has been very entertaining.
Look, it's not going to be. I don't think it's. I mean, because it's going to be Io versus Lyra in the next round, right?
Correct.
And I was a little surprised. I thought Shayna might, because they go with the Queen of Spades. That's been her nickname for a long time. I thought Shayna could potentially.
They've been doing girl dirty for way too long.
I know it would be a hot shot, very much out of nowhere.
Because she was like my wild card pick, because I'm such a big Shayna Baszler fan that I just.
But I mean, you're talking about it's probably you're looking at Bianca and Jade in the semis going against each other. I don't see how it's not
okay.
I would be shocked if it's not Bianca.
So here's my thing,
or if it's Jade Cargill.
Here's my thing.
Okay,
it's going to be Nia.
Could be.
I think
there's a lot.
I don't know how you protect if you care, if WWE cares, which doesn't seem like they care that much right now. So I don't know how you protect Jade Cargill, but I do also think that Jade losing isn't a bad thing. But I don't know. I just think that Nia's the threat in this situation. But then when I see the other side of the bracket, I'm like, well, what story makes the most sense? And the story that makes the most sense is Bianca Io for, that match, because, the history and whatnot. But it's how do you resolve Jade Cargill? That's going to be really fascinating. How do you resolve Bianca and Jade Cargill? Right. If you go that route. Right. What do you make of Nia if Jade just beats her? Right. That's going to be another really interesting one. So it's a lot of. What do you think, Matt?
Nia's interesting, and there's the weird thing between the WWE I've known and seen. Sometimes they like these things to shotgun people. They who haven't done something in a while, and maybe this is the thing we can do with them.
Yeah.
But more often, it does happen, but more often, we're going to go with someone who's been invested in. At least, even
Right.
even if it's a little bit of a surprise, like maybe like Randy would be, like they've invested in for 20-something years. But I'm talking about Jade.
Who are they
is a
currently
really
getting value
good
out of?
pick. Like
Yeah.
Jade, I mean, that is a big money, big headline, big thing. Like Naya's a bit of like like Dark Horse could have a badass like Queen Naya reign. That's interesting, but who is getting invested in? Who are they? You know.
I have thoughts and opinions.
I just
By
saw
all
something.
means.
I just saw a connection.
Okay.
I just saw a connection. I'm looking at the bracket, okay?
It's in the
And
Matrix.
listen, it could be the vape, but I do genuinely believe. All right, here's what happens.
Okay.
Jade beats Naya. She overcomes the odds, and she beats one of the biggest threats in all of WWE. That's a sell. You continue to make Jade look good. Goes right back to what you were saying. Tiffany Stratton beats Bianca Belair.
Oh.
Then you get Tiffany Stratton
Okay.
facing off against Jade Cargill. Now, how do you resolve this? Honestly, there's two pathways, but here's where I think would be the most fun. Jade beats Tiffany Stratton. Jade beats Io Sky. Jade has defeated 3 of the people that Bianca Belair has had problems with for a long time. And, well, maybe not Tiffany Stratton, but to an extent, Tiffany Stratton being a new face and Jade just, beats her, right? And Tiffany can
Right.
take a loss, as we've already seen, because, that has happened. That then Bianca gets a little stir crazy because it's like her star is fading. And then we probably get a Bianca Jade clash because they have those
soon.
tag
Wait.
titles.
That's awful.
I'm not
That's
saying it's
awful.
going to happen right away. I don't think it's
But
going to happen right away. I think what happens is Jade becomes queen of the ring, and she flaunts that success in the face of people because she's Jade Cargill.
Sure.
That's her personality. It has been her personality forever. So that is a great way to, or you end up with a bitter Jade.
So-
right, you can get a Jade Cargill who
Okay.
feels like she's better than Bianca Belair, and then pushes her aside. So you have those two paths to go. But I do believe Jade Cargill is going to win Queen of the Ring. I don't know why. Just I believe it.
No, I think she's a great choice. The only thing to start laying that seed this early. I mean, you can do it, but I don't know. In my mind, and maybe I'm being a little overzealous, I think Jade Bianca is a great. I think that's a WrestleMania 41 main event one night, maybe.
So I don't think you
gives her
do
time
that
on the
in
main.
Queen of the Ring.
So right, to me that's even post Queen of the Ring is a little early to lay these like, I'm jealous that Jade won. You could do it, but you'd have to be really careful and like get away
Especially
from
when
it.
she's been so supportive.
And
That's
they
true.
just
That's
won
true.
the tag titles. I think they have a strong
Right.
reign ahead of them. But again, look, all this to say, we keep kind of coming back to the same conclusion. Both these tournaments feel very toss-up in a good way. I could see any of these people plowing through to the finish on men's and
I could
women's
see
side.
anyone left winning.
And they all,
winning the
yes,
crown.
they all logically could make sense. And I think it's a good time for it too,
Yeah.
because like I think what you said earlier on about this, we don't have a ton of like deep rooted stories outside of a few main events, but this immediately puts stakes on cold matches, and then you see, hey, where is their chemistry? Where could there be something out of this? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Maybe you can
Yeah.
build some stories out of this. So very interesting.
People are even talking about a potential Gunther face turn out of this tournament, which I'm like, what? But also people like cheering for, like his matches have been very good.
Yep, he's
And
very good.
They like watching him.
I'm so glad. I'm so glad that Jay won his match with Ilya for a couple reasons. One, because I love Jay; he deserves everything. But because I've seen some people like, are they really not going to give us Gunther and Ilya, brother?
Anytime, anywhere, though. You could. That's easy to get to.
Yes.
Yes,
You don't have to do it in the
absolutely.
tournament.
And I don't want them to face off until there's some gold
Yes.
on the
Yeah,
line.
that is a match that
Something
deserves
juicy.
gold.
That's
not
yes.
not a freaking
Yes.
because that would have been a semifinal fucking match.
Yes, yes.
That would have been a
On
semifinal
Raw.
match. Are you kidding me? Like that is
Yeah.
offensive. Like you want to watch Ilya versus Gunther on a fucking Monday Night Raw randomly?
Nah.
No, you disgusting animal. How could you?
No.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
But hold on, there's something I do want to say real fast, just in case we could just call back to it. I don't believe it, but if it does, our editor Scan can use it as a clip to just prove that we're geniuses. So here we go. Tama Tonga is going to win the King of the Ring. Okay, that's all. All right, just in case, because imagine if he does.
I thought you were about to do that for every single competitor, and I was like,
I was just about to do it too. I was going to start naming them.
Okay, you know what? Go for it. Actually, all right, go. Matt, your turn. Pick someone, go for it.
Carmelo Hayes is definitely winning King of the Ring.
That is going to be good. If that comes true, oh my God, bro. I'm going to pop off. All right, Jake, your turn. Go.
Pick somebody.
if LA Knight does not win King of the Ring, I will eat a sock. Okay?
Wait,
it's happening.
If LA Knight does not win a King of
If
the
he
Ring?
doesn't, I'll eat a sock.
Because he's predicting that he will.
It's happening. He's winning it.
Oh, but you're gonna okay, but don't worry though, because that's not an actual thing
I'm wagering
that you're committing to. You're wagering.
Right.
I like your mind. I like where your head's
If I get
at.
to pick the sock, maybe.
You're
but
playing 5D chess, and I'm out here playing Parcheesi. You know what I mean?
I wanted to spice it up a little bit.
I appreciate it. I think that's all right. Let's go ahead and move on and talk about the WWE Championship. There has been some drama about who is challenging Cody Rhodes for the WWE Championship at King and Queen of the Ring. It is going to be the United States Champion. What? It's Logan Paul. By God. So yeah, Jake, I want to get your thoughts on this real fast. Yeah, what the hell?
I mean, there's some details that need to be worked out. I need to know if this is a title for title match.
That's, to me, the biggest drama is what's on the line.
Yeah.
That's what we
the most
need to
confusing
know.
thing.
Well, we know that he's
Because
fighting for the WWE Championship, though, right?
Yeah, but can he lose the U.S. title?
It's been called title
That's
for
what
title. It's been called champion versus champion. There was there was a point where they didn't even right after that SmackDown. They did, because they just called it a champion versus champion match. They didn't say WWE Championship match. So it's gone every way and has not been doubled down on yet.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing that I want to know, because as Cody did mention, the only title he needs to be a Grand Slam champion is the U.S. title. But then that raises other questions of like, okay, so is he going to defend both titles? Is this a thing of like, I'm going to win it just to say that I won it, and now I'm going to relinquish it, and here's another tournament, which doesn't seem likely because we just did it. We're doing a tournament right now.
Yeah.
So I don't know. There's just a lot of things that I think I need some clarification on. I mean, there's no way he drops the title to Logan Paul. It's just not going to happen. And will they put on a good match? I mean, probably.
Yeah.
I mean,
a lot of fireworks.
It'll be whatever. Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's what it'll be. It'll be some big spots and that kind of thing. But I don't know. I just need to see I just need to know those details, because that will vastly change my interest in what's going on, because it does feel a little like, all right, drum up a big name for the Saudi Arabia show and we'll figure it out from there. That's kind of what it seems like, because, and that we're just feeding some contenders to Cody to build up his title reign.
I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt on like what could come from this, because they have proven that they do care about story at this point. So I don't know if the build, because it's like literally around the corner. I mean, it's next Saturday, I believe, right? So, the event is so soon that the build is non-existent. It's just going to be a match, which I'm okay with. I don't need a build, but I am curious if we're going to get, because surely there's going to be shenanigans involved. I don't think this is going to end in a person's shoulders being pinned to the mat, because
100% it will.
I don't think so.
There's zero shot they end a
pay-per-view
on a DQ. You do not end a major pay-per-view in which I consider the Saudi
I don't
ones
think
major
this is going to main event it, though. I think they're going to. I think the King and Queen of the Ring are going to main event it. I think those two matches are going to main event it.
Interesting.
Because that's the point of the freaking event.
Yeah, but it was always the point of the event, and it never main evented the pay-per-view in its entire existence.
But we were literally talking about how they want to make this feel important. What better way than having it main event?
They made it feel important by doing it in Saudi Arabia, where they can spend a shitload of money and launch, $500,000 worth of fireworks into the air.
Now, look, I don't know
have a loud crowd.
I don't know what their obligations are to Saudi Arabia and what the request would be from them. I can't imagine it's too much in the creative front. I would probably think that they look at it and they probably just want big names there, right?
Their big thing is usually requesting, we want this, we want this person.
They're getting it.
Yeah.
So it's not like they're not getting the thing that they want. So why not just take a, creative liberty, which makes sense in this instance, and it gives something unique to it. You have that main event, the freaking show, because that's the name of the fucking tournament.
I would like to see it. I would like to see it. I think
it'd be sick.
I don't think
so. If that happens and it does in a DQ, where does it go?
I think it ends in the DQ with the fuckboy gang, whatever their name is.
A-Town
and Grayson Waller.
FBG.
Yeah, the fuckboy gang, the FBG.
With A-Town. Okay, but I'm saying because then
it would have to continue
that's obviously,
between
Cody and Logan. Because it's not going to leave open ended like that. It's going to be
I don't know if I see Cody and Logan going forward. I think this is a one-off. I think it's a special attraction.
Which is why I don't think anyone's going to lose. I really don't think
but
happen.
if that happens, it has to continue. You can't leave it unsettled
Logan Paul's
that.
leaving. Unless Logan Paul is going to be taking a little bit of a break, which is also a possibility. Sure. So who is the best person for him to lose that belt to? It would be Cody, and then you could build around that. So I just think that it would be a touch.
Not my favorite.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be too into it, but
you could have a little bit of like a what was it, Seth 2015 when he was world champion and U.S. champion. Yeah, and then shenanigans.
But they cared so little for the U.S. championship back then, right? Like
it's meant something recently.
Yeah. So that's why I'm not eager about it, because I know that Cody would do it right. But I struggle with how a babyface would get away
as a double
with the double champion 2-belt sitch. Like I don't know how the babyface reconciles that.
Okay, so let me ask you, based on what we do know, what do you think is the best outcome from this?
Disqualification.
Because
opening match.
You think a
disqualification
is?
They get an opening match, an interesting circumstance, and then you give them a bunch more show after that, where it's like just finish after finish after finish.
But then that story's not done. Is the problem? So where does Cody and Logan go from there? Yeah. Because to me, I can see it. Okay, if it's a DQ and it's going to extend somewhere, then you have A-Town. Maybe you have A-Town Down come out. They cause a DQ. No one's happy, and then after that, you have Logan and the two of them against Cody and what, like DIY or someone, I don't know.
Now I think that Cody's just going to win.
DIY's on.
I think
I just think that Cody's going to win.
The legendary flip-flopping you have done in this
No,
episode.
because, okay, so the thing is that, like, To me, a DQ just makes sense because it's like, what else are you going to do in this situation? Like, I don't really see a path forward. But the thing that I did not consider when I had that initial thought, is that maybe Logan Paul takes a little bit of a break because, I mean, the guy still has like all of his own obligations that he continues to do. For all we know, he could be going off and recording a movie or some shit like that.
Again, we don't even know if the U.S. title's on the line. We're still guessing at that.
Which is a problem.
Right.
I'm sorry, but that is a problem. Like,
but one option that I think we can also consider is that Cody wins not via DQ, but because A-Town Down maybe comes out to help out Logan Paul, and then who else comes out to help Cody is the same people who helped him at WrestleMania. You have Kevin Owens come out, you have Randy Orton come down, who have pre-existing issues with Logan Paul,
true,
with A-Town Down.
And then Teddy Long comes out and he's like, "Oh, we are gonna do a 6-man tag match, player." Yeah,
with the Undertaker.
Undertaker.
I mean, it is Saudi. So
we're in Saudi Arabia. Anything's possible.
So I mean, really, that's the only kind of place that I see that going. Because there is no unless this is the start of a story between the two of them.
Yeah,
I don't see this going much. I don't really see it going any further after this PLE. So
yeah.
I don't know.
My only issue: just make somebody fight for a title shot. Make it a number one contender match. I don't care what. Make it a scramble.
Yeah.
Make it a battle royal. Make it like a 6-pack challenge, and he does some shenanigans to win. I hate just being like, this person's facing you there next.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
I know he's a champion. He's a big name, but just win something. Just win.
Also,
something.
like the other part that I have, the other problem that I have with this, if Cody just wins it, is like, so what was WrestleMania for? Like, oh, so he beat Randy Orton and Kevin Owens, but then he like loses to Cody, who is the world champion, but then he just like goes away, and it's just like, I don't know if that would be like a thing that I would like. I would like the person who wins the U.S. championship to like,
it
benefit from it.
It feels to me what I think WWE did, which I think was a smart thing, was they were told, it was like, okay, well, we're supposed to have a PLE in Saudi Arabia. We're not changing titles at Saudi Arabia because they want Cody, they want Logan Paul. Okay, well, we're not changing the titles, but a lot of these events, unfortunately, the ones in Saudi have seemed kind of like separate from everything.
Yeah, it's been
like they don't
separate canon.
Like they're
Sometimes.
It almost feels like separate canon. So they were like, let's do this King and Queen of the Ring tournament, so we can have some continuity that goes through this PLE, but it's not going to be, the main title picture.
I'm trying to read the official description on WWE.com for the match, and so it has has 3 title matches listed for the card. Sami Zayn will put his Intercontinental title on the line in a triple threat match against Chad Gable and Big Bronson Reed. Also, Women's World, the man is coming around to collide with Liv Morgan. The Liv Morgan Revenge Tour, Women's World Champion Becky Lynch will put her title on the line. And then in the main event, the big headline, Cody Rhodes will go to war against United States champion Logan Paul in a champion versus champion match.
Okay,
not
so there's no title
versus championship
match.
So
not only is there no U.S. title on the line, there's no title on the line.
That's
the way
what that
sounds like to me. Yeah,
which
there's no title on the line whatsoever.
When Daniel Bryan fought CM Punk, it was the same thing, a champion versus champion.
Now,
match.
blah, blah, blah. Logan
it's like 90 champions.
He's the reason. Cody's the reason for that, blah, blah. Now, title holder will battle title holder to determine who's really, the reason for
I
all
hate
this
it
success.
even more now.
But again, that's the way it reads to me.
I know, yeah.
But you know what? I'm fine because I literally don't care. I literally do not care about
That's
this
fair
match.
enough.
Because like
That's fair
the
enough,
only
yeah.
things I care about are the freaking king and queen of the ring.
Valid.
That's what I'm watching that fucking show for. So
Right.
that's where my mind is at. Where it's like, if the title was on the line, cool, I'll give a shit. But if they don't even feel confident putting the title on the line, then fine. They're going to have a perfectly fine, satisfying matchup. It's going to be entertaining. And then we move on to the reason why we're there, the name of the damn PLE.
It'll be a classic 2.25 Meltzer star rating match.
Yeah, honestly, wouldn't be shocked. I don't know. Has he?
Mark it down. I'm going to write this down. Meltzer.
Which, honestly, they could put on a
2.25.
3.5. They could put on a 3.5 on the Meltzer scale.
Yeah.
You know,
I
maybe
mean,
a
it'll
4
probably,
if it
you
was
know,
in Tokyo Dome.
The conversion rate of Meltzer to everyone else's opinion would probably, it's 2.25 for Meltzer, 3.25 for the common man.
We should come up with our own rating system, but every time we say it, it's like when Conan did the game
When
reviews,
Conan does the-
and he just
yeah.
made like a thing up. I think that's what we're going to start doing.
Yeah.
yeah.
This match is also listed on, for what it's worth, on Wikipedia as a champion, versus champion, and that it's an example of a match where neither title is on the line. Again, that can be changed by anybody, but it's seeming more and more that way. Anyway.
Okay, cool. So we're good. We're good. Should be a perfectly satisfying matchup between two splendid performance entertainers, professional wrestlers. AEW has been interesting for me this week because I have enjoyed some parts of it, but the same problem keeps creeping up for me where it is hard for me to invest in a lot of these matches when I know what the result is going to be. But see, the thing is that sometimes you're like, oh, you know, like it's okay if you know what the result is going to be, right? Which we've said that before. We said it for freaking WrestleMania, which was like the biggest match of the year so far.
But there's a difference between
but there's a difference between you
and
do it
repetition.
You do it to finish a story that has been so well put together versus you just need to showcase your star.
You got to fill time
before the show, and then something will happen. Like, and again, I like, what is it? I think next week on Dynamite, this Wednesday, we're gonna see Swerve Strickland face off against Brian Cage. I know who's gonna win that matchup, but I'm invested in it because there's a reason to care, because they just turned their back on Swerve Strickland. So like, there's a reason for it, you know? But like, when you have Rocky Romero facing off against Jay White, I know what's going to happen there, right? Like, and they're going to have a great match. And it sucks 'cause I love Rocky Romero, but, you know.
Or when you have anyone versus Will Ospreay.
Or anyone versus Will Ospreay. Yeah,
at the moment,
that is true. Which, again, great match. It's going to be a great match. But so AEW has had this problem for a while of needing to protect people, and I feel like sometimes I'm now starting to subscribe more to the way the WWE's approaching things, where it's like, dude, Gunther beat Kofi Kingston in the middle of the ring with a submission hold, like with a Boston Crab. He defeated
when he didn't have to. That's what I liked about it.
He defeated.
He could have pinned him. He probably could have pinned his ass. And he's like, nope, I'm gonna hurt him.
Who was the next guy that he beat with the Boston? He's done that twice, right?
Sheamus, right?
Yeah, he did that to Sheamus. He did that to a returning Sheamus. So like, you know, that's big, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's significant. So, yeah, what do you guys think about it right now?
As far as just like the state of AEW storytelling,
Well,
like,
I guess as far as like the matches, were there anything in particular that is, because it's not like it's all doom and gloom. I mean, that has been like genuinely some good shit. I guess, yeah. Regarding the matches, do you think it's like an issue? Have you noticed it, or am I crazy? I guess.
No,
We'll start with that.
yeah, you're 100% right. I think, like you said, though, it just match result to me sometimes is not the headline, right? Okay,
For
Swerve
sure.
Brian Cage. 99% sure we know which way that's going. There's a 1% chance, or maybe a short one, that, you know, DQ shenanigans happen, right? But we're not seeing a clean Brian Cage win on the current AEW World Champion. I'm intrigued, not even for the result, because you know shit is going to go down. Whether it's Christian and his guys coming out, whether it's the rest of the
you know
Mogul
something's
Embassy,
gonna happen there.
whether we finally get Nana back in where is he coming to play and try to stop Brian Cage? There's going to be some drama there. That's what I'm brought in by. That's one of those things where I don't care about the result. They actually have some story going around between his friends turning their back on him. Great, I love the stuff with Christian Cage. Obviously, that's good. He's
so good.
He's awesome. And then his developing relationship with the Young Bucks and that side of things too. So I think there's meat on the bone there, which is cool. So again, I don't care about a predictable match result in that kind of a spot.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's the old cliche of it's not the destination, it's the journey,
exactly.
right? And that's a lot of story is told within the match, and that like you said, the outcome isn't necessarily what's important, but how we got there.
Mm-hmm.
For example, I think they did that this week on Dynamite with Adam Copeland and Brody King. I'm very interested in seeing what's going on there because I wanted to talk about it last week, didn't get a chance to, but it seems like we're doing a reverse Judgment Day.
You taking the
Adam
thoughts
Copeland
from my brain and you're putting them in your own.
Because he keeps having these weird moments of like he's like blacking out or that he's lost in thought or in a trance or whatever. And he's even talked about how you're waking the darker side of me.
Yeah.
And which is what this has all seemed like, right? And he did that in that match with Brody King. He bled a lot. He bled a lot in that match.
And have you ever heard recently he's gone on record as saying his heel running the Judgment Day got cut massively short because they needed baby faces due to injuries. He's said that in an interview with Chris Van Vliet, I believe. And so he didn't get to see that. I think he wants to try running around in a heel faction again, and this is that same kind of heel spooky faction. So I think maybe we're seeing some weird twisted road to a House of Black Adam Copeland.
And there's a small detail that I do want to add that I really enjoyed. So when Kyle O'Reilly went out to go and do the save for Adam Copeland, and then they were in that backstage interview, and then Kyle O'Reilly came up and kind of like shot a shot with him. And then you could see like he was just bothered by it, but it was really subtle. And obviously, I think like a normal person would be bothered by it too.
Well, said it. He said, "That's why you did this. Is that why you did this?
Yeah,
so you can get your shot, kind of thing."
Exactly. Oh man, did they resolve that on Collision, or is that going to happen next week on Dynamite?
No, they had it on Collision.
No, they had that match on Collision.
Yeah. And he won.
And it ended with that lingering handshake.
Yep. Yeah. Okay. Yes, I'm remembering now.
Yeah, I'm Cope's doing some nice character work here, and I've always thought he's actually a pretty good actor. I mean, he was good. He was great in Vikings, and so I like the character stuff that he's doing here, and I think that's one of the more compelling stories I think in AEW right now. I'm very interested to see.
I find it so freaking awesome that we're in two big programs with Adam Copeland and Christian Cage. Edge and Christian, WWE legends, and here they are. And Will Ospreay the other day tweeted how happy he was that Adam Copeland is not just in AEW, but is doing what he's doing in AEW.
Right.
And it was really fascinating to see how, and obviously tribalism's stupid and it's a thing, and I shouldn't even be mentioning it, but I just want to say it's like, it does bum me out to see people not be receptive to the fact just because he's in AEW that like it can't be good. Like, it's been great. He's been great. He's been putting on some of his best matches consistently week in and week out, gruesome matches as well. And you could just tell he's having a fucking blast. You know, he's having a blast doing this, and look, if he ain't, I'll tell you what, he's a great actor. So,
sure seems like he is,
and that is kudos in of itself. But I really do believe he's having the time of his life doing this shit, and it comes across that way. It's been fun to watch for sure.
Absolutely.
I've dug it. So where do you think this goes, Jake? Where do you think do you think this ends with Malachi Black being TNT champion? Because I don't think that. If that's where they're going, I don't think it makes sense.
I mean, that I don't know. And that's why I'm interested to see how clearly Matt has, dare I say,
you literally just picked something in my brain, but finish.
Thoughts and opinions.
No.
No, never. I apologize.
Yeah, that's true. He will never say that. Matt will never say because he doesn't like Stewie. You know, what an edgelord over here.
Yeah, I'm not quite sure. This is one that I'm just kind of I like what they're doing. I'm interested to see how it plays out because in my head I'm like, well, Copeland doesn't seem like he's not the follower type, but at the same time, like, how do you fold him in? Can you fold him in as champion in a follower role, or is it? Yeah, I don't know. I'm interested to see how they play this out.
Yeah.
But I am curious to hear what Matt something sparked.
I'm not gonna say thoughts and opinions. I'm gonna say like the old the more you know thing, you star wipe, like fantasy booking. Okay. So no, what you just said, and it will piss a lot of people off. And I don't care.
Even better.
Because it takes away from some of the purest aspect of pro wrestling, which I know is kind of what AEW generally leans toward. More like it's more match based, but I don't know all the details. But as we said, I think you go on a long, craggly path here with some weird tendencies from Cope. It starts to become more and more obvious he's leaning to his dark side. Malachi Black and House of Black are pushing him in that direction, nudging him. Finally, I wish I knew what would push him over the edge, but something does. And I think it is as TNT champion that he's welcomed into the fold of House of Black. And I would actually dig it. People will hate it, but I think he is indoctrinated by laying down for Malachi Black in the middle of the ring. People hate that. It's finger poke of doom, but there's more story to it. It's not just look at this shit. It's prove your loyalty. It's prove your dedication to the House of Black. Blah blah blah. But I think with the right narrative in place, people will hate it. It gives them they boo. They go, Ed, what the. You came
That's
here
the point of it.
You came here to wrestle, Matt. You came here to be the best of the best. What the fuck are you doing? And then even in a shoot way, this is such BS. Boo, boo. So I don't know. And we know Tony likes to push the edge and, kind of poke at people. Hey, you shouldn't do that. Maybe that's not. And he goes, screw it. Let's do it. So I could see that maybe happening. And I wouldn't. If they did it right, I think it could be kind of cool.
Oh
yeah,
it's a risk.
I think it could too. Like very much like a Kalima type moment, like drinking of the blood and brainwashing Indiana Jones. I could see that happening.
It could. Is it a destroy from within kind of thing?
Yeah.
Could be, or it could
kind
be
of like
something
Danielson
else.
did with the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
It could be. Yeah, it could be very interesting.
Ooh, all right. We'll let that simmer. Everyone's cooking right now. I think it goes without saying, right? But this gives us an opportunity, though, to kind of change it up a little bit here on Rebooked and do something that has been requested of us for a while since we have made this podcast, and that is to rebook a feud, rebook a match. And I went and I have done it because what happened was I had a day where I
weird one to pick, man.
It's a very odd one.
What
to
a
pick,
unique choice to pick.
I'm
Wait
very
for this,
excited.
folks.
We are going to rebook Booker T versus JBL at Survivor Series 2004 in the lead up to that match. Now, this was one that was brought up by one of our community members. I'm fairly certain. They brought up something regarding Booker T. Could be wrong in that regard, but there were multiple things happening here that I thought was pretty interesting. So I went down the rabbit hole of researching how all of this came to be, how JBL became the WWE champion at that time, where WWE was at narratively. So at that point, the WWE Championship was definitely the belt 1B of the product at that point in time because Triple H held the World Heavyweight Championship. And he was main eventing a majority of the pay-per-views. And if anything, Monday Night Raw was like really, really hot at the time because apparently SmackDown was struggling with, like establishing people. They didn't have a lot of people for JBL to fight because I think John Cena got injured or something to that effect. It was something that I had seen, right? But I gotta say, the way that this was set up was brilliant. So I'm not going to change anything about a lot of the setup, but I am going to make a pivot. So we'll just start with the setup. This all started because there was a Champions Showcase match that was put together that was featuring, and I think it was the Intercontinental and the European Champion, or the Intercontinental and the United States Champion, and JBL as the WWE Champion was in this match. And
it was WWE Champion and the Tag Champs.
Oh, it was a Tag Champs. That's who it was.
Yeah.
That's who it was.
What was it?
Right?
Booker, RVD, and Ray.
Yes. And, fascinating situation because Booker T was doing promos in the back where he was like, I'm not going to let them use me as an opportunity, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to take my shot, so on and so forth. So they already planted that seed. And JBL ended up taking a pin clean in the middle of the ring after Booker T hit him with the scissor kick and got the 1, 2, 3. And that set up this feud. That set up this whole story. But this story took a very fascinating turn of events because Josh Matthews was the one that was interviewing what was going to become the Cabinet Stable. He was interviewing them and they were bullying him a fair amount. And he then clapped back and was like, "What are you doing? No, you don't. You guys are mean," or whatever. I don't remember exactly what he said, but something to that effect. And now this is where I want to pivot. So what followed this in the story was that Booker T went into a match against Orlando Jordan, and there was some interesting things that were being used at the time. I'm curious if Booker T was okay with saying some of the terminology that he was saying toward Orlando Jordan. It was a tad racist. Obviously, there was a connection there, right? Given that both Booker T and Orlando Jordan are black. And Booker T was kind of referring to Orlando Jordan as being like a houseboy, which was like, oh, that's bad. And the crowd knew that too. And that was bad. And, that is a layered term, right? That goes without saying. Again, don't know if that was them or not, but we'll go ahead and back away. We'll say, though, it was awesome to see JBL really stand up for Orlando Jordan the way that he did. And that kind of like created the ire that they had for one another. And Orlando Jordan played a big role in this matchup. In any case, Orlando Jordan faces Booker T. Booker T is going to beat his ass. Orlando Jordan cheats, and then they end up losing, or Booker T goes to the back and says, "No, I want both of them right now. I'm tired of this. They're both cowards. I could take them both on," because truth be told, Booker T was white hot at this point in time. I mean, he was on his LA Knight arc. Okay, my guy was like, to put a context for the modern fan, he was white hot. The crowd was super into him too. So Josh Matthews steps in, says, "I'll back you up. I'll be in the ring with you." Which, how do they even get to that point? I don't know. But because Booker T said no one in the back will be there for me, because he was doing some bad guy things before this. Or had done bad guy things before this. And he was also a part of WCW. So, there was that whole thing. So Josh Matthews is like, "I'm going to back you up." So we go to the tag match. Now, in the tag match as it was booked, okay, Booker T they get the win, right? But what I would have done is I would have had Josh Matthews inadvertently pin JBL and get a win over the WWE champion in a way that was a complete and random accident. Okay, so that means that Josh Matthews gets a shot at fighting for the WWE championship, because that's what happened to Booker T, right? Like, he was going to fight him. So now you get Josh Matthews versus JBL. Now, this is where things, can lead to a different route here, but there are a few ways that I would have liked this to have gone. So basically, Orlando Jordan keeps interfering in the match and leading to JBL winning, to which Teddy Long comes out and says, Seems like you can't win a match without some help, player. So for your match at Survivor Series versus Booker T, Orlando Jordan will be banned from ringside. And the crowd will lose their mind because then it's like, oh my God, he's going into this matchup against Booker T. And obviously Josh Matthews, like, just gets demolished. But there's still shenanigans, right? Because there's still... Maybe Josh Matthews gets like a pin where he thinks he could potentially lose and JBL loses his cool and blah, 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 right? Because he was. I mean, he got to the point where he was at the end of it saying, if I lose this belt, I am leaving forever. I am gone. So this is where we have two versions of where the Survivor Series match goes. And this is what you guys get to decide which one you like. So version one, the one that we all would have wanted. Booker T gets the win against JBL and starts a crazy-ass reign as WWE champion. One of the first WCW and WWE champions. It would have been incredible if Vince McMahon wasn't the booker for WWE at the time. Version 2. This is the one that I like a little bit more. So, at the last minute, as JBL is about to lose this matchup to Booker T. Booker T's getting ready. He's hitting the spinneroonie. My guy is losing his mind. The crowd is hot in the middle of the ring. And then out of nowhere from the crowd, a masked man comes in and hits Booker T. And he hits Booker T with the championship because the referee was down. And there's what? Orlando Jordan's banned from ringside. How could he possibly do this? But then out of nowhere, Michael Cole, who, by the way, was fantastic at this time, just calling some excellent matches. Michael Cole is like, he's like, whoa, that person doesn't look like Orlando Jordan. It's Josh Matthews. Josh Matthews comes out, hits Booker T. But why would he do that? Why would he possibly turn on him? Because JBL respected Josh Matthews for getting in the ring, and he offered him a job. He bought him out, and he became assistant to the WWE champion. And we start the official formation of the cabinet with a chasing Booker T now, with a scorned individual having backed up and defended Josh Matthews. And now this is what you do to him. This is what happens. But the reason is Booker T didn't come out for that matchup when Orlando Jordan was interfering. So he felt like he was thrown to the wolves as well. That's his determination. That's his thought process. It's obviously wrong, because they're the bad guys. How could you? And that is my rebooking. What do you think?
That's wild.
Dude,
the outcome is even more
this.
random than your selection for a feud to rebook.
Yeah.
But I love it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you can still do. I think you could do both. I think you could have Booker get hit by the title and it be Josh, and Booker overcomes that, and that's how you turn him babyface for sure.
Or you have Josh hit JBL with the title, and thus kind of like being a self-fulfilling prophecy of him constantly interfering or getting interference in matches, and then you get Booker T winning. But that would be a weird one, but it's still I don't think people would be mad about it, because JBL had honestly and a lot of people, I saw a Reddit thread where people were like, buy or sell on the story of JBL being WWE champion, and a lot of people were like, I didn't like it. But there were some people who were like, dude, JBL was pulling some legit heat. He was really, he was a fucking real excellent bad
piece
guy.
Of shit.
Yeah.
I fucking hated JBL.
Yeah.
Because he was such a good heel. He was so good. And I even remember him telling stories about, like, Eddie Guerrero would come and be like, hey, you should call me this on the show tomorrow, and he'd do it and get booed so bad, and then he'd be like, okay, you need to leave, brother, you got to get the hell out of here. They're really mad. So yeah, he was a phenomenal heel.
I thought he was
best.
But at the same time, though, it was a very weird point in the in WWE's life.
Yes,
like in the life as a company. So
I have a lot of thoughts. And so, all right, if we're talking about your two, I would not choose either. But between the two, I would definitely go the second route. Because here's my...
Wait, so you didn't want Booker T to be champion at all?
Here's my hot take. White hot is the biggest white lie you've ever told. I literally watched the video today recapping everything that happened.
Okay, maybe not white hot. He was hot, though.
Listen to the pop when his music, or lack thereof, when it plays at Survivor Series 2004.
Yeah, but go back and watch Survivor Series 2004. There were some pretty good matches on there. Listen
to the SmackDown. Like he got positive reactions. I
thought it sounded loud to me, unless I'm because I was watching on a TV. So I don't know, because it felt loud.
It felt positive. I think he was a babyface. I just don't think people bought him as a white babe. That's our guy. It was like he's a guy. And, he's a good guy. When he's running comebacks and stuff, it's yay. It's not, let's fucking go. That's the way I took it. So there's no ending in this where Booker T wins the title.
Not like when it was Triple H and Booker T.
Yeah. In early 03, he was on that track. In 04, he was not on that track.
But it felt like no one was pulling, So to me, he was white hot because there wasn't a lot to cheer for.
Comparatively,
so comparatively, sure. I think he was quite hot. But
okay, because let's go over this card. Let's go over this Survivor Series 2004 card.
Okay,
La Resistance.
Yeah.
Against the Hurricane and Rosie in a tag match that lasted 4 minutes and 59 seconds.
Well, we know they don't like tag wrestling,
then,
or that
a fatal four-way for the cruiserweight title. Spike Dudley defeated Billy Kidman, Chavo Guerrero, and Rey Mysterio. Then for the Intercontinental title, Shelton Benjamin beats Christian, accompanied by Tyson Tomko. Then the first Survivor Series match.
I've heard that name in years.
Team Eddie Guerrero and Big Show, John Cena, and Rob Van Dam defeated Team Kurt Angle with Carlito Caribbean Cool, Luther Reigns, and Mark Jindrak.
Let's go.
Damn.
That's one of your main events, essentially.
Then in a random singles match, The Undertaker defeated Heidenreich.
That's right. This was a time. This was a time.
Then the women's title. Yeah, then the women's title. Trish Stratus defeated Lita by DQ. Then JBL beats Booker T. And then Team Randy Orton featuring a Chris that I don't know can be named, Chris Jericho, and then Maven versus Team Triple H, Batista, Edge, and Gene Snitsky.
I just worked with him. I just saw him this past weekend. Yeah, he was at our play. He was a guest wrestler in it. Yeah, that was a time of all times. So to talk about it being in a weird time, no doubt about it.
Yeah. That was, yeah. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if people were kind of bleh, because maybe because people felt like JBL was going to win at that time, right? And they were like, okay, what's the point of investing in this match, because they're they're not going to do anything with this.
So my thing was, my big takeaway after I kind of caught up on all the things that was going on with it. Shout out to, what is that channel, by the way? I feel like I want to shout them out, CH14 or whatever.
TH14.
TH14.
Yeah.
They do. It's not like some fancy package. Literally segment involving the two people. Next segment involving the two people. Match from SmackDown. Backstage. Match from SmackDown. All the way to the pay-per-view for any given feud. You do great work. No frills. It's awesome. So, but you start off with a guy who, again, like you said, maybe was recently doing some heel stuff in Booker T, but even at the very beginning of this feud, let's say a month out or so, a little bit more from Survivor Series, he's backstage telling some of your top baby faces, I'm the biggest star around here. No, and nobody can. I can't. He's kind of being a dick. And so you're trying to turn him into your number one baby face. And maybe that's where Josh came in. They were trying to give him this, he's helping the little guy thing. But
it did definitely help. It did definitely give him something.
But honestly, I think that's the Vince McMahon thing. He's we gotta get you, help the underdog. And I'm like, you know what? If he just beat up the bad guy, I think he'd be hotter. I think Josh, and I love you, Josh. You're like my boss now. But so this was a fun one for me to catch up on. Oh, poor, I was almost going to screen cap and text him when they were like smack. I could ask him. He'll tell me about it. I could ask him about it. But it's like it was a unique thing. And, of course, Josh obviously trained as a wrestler, was on the first season of Tough Enough, so we knew we could bump and things like that. But I thought it distracted a lot of the Josh stuff. And the idea that, like, hey, you want this big singles feud for the title, it felt like you had to rely on the sympathy for the announcer angle. Which was it's an interesting story that I think could have been played well in like a mid-card, like blood feud as opposed to a title feud. So I would have maybe not eliminated it, but severely reduced it and kept it focused on Booker T wanting to kick. I mean, God, JBL was such a good heel. Good heel. Yeah. Orlando Jordan, the cabinet forming. He's smarmy. He's a cheater. He's all these things. You could have had Booker T just chasing him, wanting to knock his head off. Shenanigans ensue. But in my mind, there's no way you're taking the title off JBL. Especially with that's the whole point of this rose-colored glasses kind of thing. I think JBL holding on for the title as he did sets you up for John Cena at WrestleMania the next year. And launches John Cena from being a really good heel. So I think you needed that going into the John Cena generation.
When I looked at the results of it, and I saw the conclusion, I'm like, oh, okay. That actually, I'm glad he won because that made more sense in the long run. Glad he won to an extent. I really just enjoyed Booker T so much as a wrestler. So
going
it was like,
back. I will
he was
say
so good.
Yes, going back and watching some of this, and like because I got it. Now I want to go back and watch the 2003 Mania build because like I was never a huge Booker T guy. Like it was one of the I know he's good.
He's just so charismatic in the ring. You know what I mean? But then, that was always the thing that drew me to him.
You watch him. Was this coming off of? I'll say his name. Was this coming off of the Benoit U.S. title series?
I think so.
Or was that later?
Wait, actually, let me not because I looked it up. But he was in a few matches.
But going and watch it. Like again, it was never on my. But like going back and watching, yes, he was very charismatic, and I wish there was a point in time he's one of those guys I wish they would have pulled the trigger on at some point. And maybe it was the 03 feud with Hunter and politics got involved there, but he is a missed opportunity. I think at some point in the early 2000s for WWE for sure.
Yeah. I'm looking
because he's
right
still
now.
a part of one of my like favorite moments ever in that grocery store brawl with Stone Cold.
Yes,
is legendary.
Yeah,
it's one of my favorite moments ever. And Booker T was so good in that. Absolutely. He was hilarious. They both. I mean, it was. What an all-timer.
So, funny enough, Booker T actually was a part of a fatal four-way for the WWE Championship, and JBL retained the title after pinning Booker T.
Yeah, after, yeah.
So, it seems like they didn't have, and probably at the time you're watching, you're like, yeah, I don't really think this is going to happen. For context, by the way, I decided to look up who else was operating in 2004, because it was kind of like a really weird period in pro wrestling. TNA was doing some stuff in 2004. Main event of Victory Road was Jeff Jarrett as champion, defeating Jeff Hardy in a ladder match for the NWA World Championship. So this wasn't even like TNA as TNA. This was the only belt that TNA had was the X Division, which Petey Williams defeated AJ Styles in a match for the X Division Championship. So... But he was champion at that time.
It's also worth noting after... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, really, I wanted to look at it. So he was just coming off... It wasn't Benoit. That was a different time. It was Cena, Booker T, in the summer right before this. Best of 5 series for the U.S. title.
Okay.
So he was a recent heel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The Mania after this... Survivor Series was Cena beating JBL.
That's
for the title.
That's what I'm saying, and it was.
Yeah.
So then it was a heel Booker T in a transitional phase, and they needed Josh. They used Josh Matthews to essentially get some sympathy for JBL. See, or sorry, for Booker T, and some more heat on JBL because honestly, it was perfect. I watched all of that, and that was really, really cool though. Like just seeing all the segments like together, it was really fun to piece the story together and then be like, oh, this is what happened, without having to like comb through. So again, we gotta give that YouTube channel the proper shout out, because they're doing the Lord's work, and I just want everyone to know how valuable this thing is, because I really do feel like one of the cool things about like just finding this kind of shit on YouTube is that like it's so accessible now.
Oh, yeah.
Right. So
TH14 baby.
TH14. That's what it is. Thank you. You guys, I couldn't find it because I'm a bot. TH14, shout out to you, buddy. That you are a legend, and we are probably going to do this again. So, what did you think?
Oh, we're 100% doing it again because I've been researching one myself.
I think this is what we're doing now, because you want to tell me to go back and watch old wrestling feuds, gladly. Yeah. Nope. Before we go, you know what we got to do, guys. We got to do our rebook 24/7 champion of the week. And first things first, before we start, I do want to give a shout out to our editor, Scan, who had his own fantasy booking. I just got to find it here real quick on my tablet. And because apparently finding things on a tablet is really difficult. So
it can be a pain.
Wait, where is it? Oh my God! Scan,
his 24/7 champion of the week.
Yeah. Yes. He had.
He said, and I'm quote. Okay, well, go ahead.
Okay. Lee Fitting. He was going to give it to Lee Fitting. My pick right now is Lee Fitting for continuing to up the quality of WWE's visual storytelling week after week. The man has a brilliant eye for the subtle details, as well as making WWE feel like one giant, cohesive, ongoing story with brilliant backstage interactions. The camera tracking shots like Drew marching straight from the back out to the ring just works out so well. And you can even tell that the live crowd is totally into it. Yes, I am a sucker for good production quality, but I think everyone can agree that production-wise, WWE has not been this good, arguably, in decades. And
yeah. I mean, we're all production marks on this show. So
yeah, exactly.
For sure.
I think we did give it to Lee.
Lee has had it.
He's a one-time champion already.
He could be a two-time. He could be a two-time. All right. Well, let's go through the rest of the list. How are we feeling? Who are our 24/7 champs of the week? Anyone want to go? Does anyone have anyone?
There wasn't too many that crazy stuck out to me this week. So like just going back through like in my head, like some of the things I watched, some of the things that happened. This is a little bit cumulative over the last couple of weeks, but like it did make it reared its beautiful head this week. One of these weeks I want to get it done. If it doesn't happen this week, 24/7 champion of the week to Swerve Strickland's shoes. Because one, the man is just fly as hell, and two, he's always doing these like double stomps onto crowds and onto guys on the outside. And he lands them like 75% of the time, just landing on his feet. But even when he doesn't, he just makes it look good. And like I don't know, you gotta give the jump man his jumps, and you gotta give the kicking man his J's. So like, his shoes are doing work for the champ. So that's my vote.
I like it. All right, Jake, what do you have? What do you think?
Oh man, I think I have to go with Dave.
Dave?
Oh, you don't know who Dave is?
Oh no, God,
Dave
here we go.
Is Drew's neighbor who
Dave?
apparently has.
Wait, what happened?
Remember in the opening of Raw?
Oh, I didn't get to see
Monday,
it. Okay, yeah.
Drew was talking to El Campeón.
Yes.
Mr. Damian Priest, and said, you've got a great story. He said, my neighbor Dave has an inspirational story. It doesn't mean he deserves to be the world heavyweight champion, but you know what? He does deserve to be the 24/7 champion. So Dave, my hat's off to you, sir.
Oh,
whoever
that's
the hell
great.
you are.
That's great. Okay,
I'm going Dave.
This is going to be funny. I'm torn between two, but one of them is topical this week. The other one might not be topical. So you know what? I'll go with the one that's topical this week.
Sure.
My 24/7 title is Carlito's back. Because
that's right.
For some reason,
on top of the.
For some reason. in the Judgment Day Newcastle
heat of the
Republic
moment.
match.
In the heat of the moment.
In the
Yeah.
heat of the moment, Carlito comes out to be the guy and save the day for the Judgment Day. And then he does a backstabber, which, you know, is a painful move. I mean, it's a painful move. It goes without saying. But he does it on a table, and the announcers are perplexed. They don't really know what to do with their hands at that moment. I could hear them be like, he just did it on a table. And Pat McAfee was like, I'm almost sure that hurt him. That hurt him more than it hurt the other guy.
Yeah.
And to make matters even better, I'm pretty sure, the table didn't break. So,
Well, if it would have, it would have been worse for Carlito. He would have
Yeah.
fallen on top of him.
it would have been worse. So I don't know. We got good options. We got Dave. We got Lee Fitting going for the 2-time. Okay, we got Swerve Strickland and his shoes. I thought you were going to say that his shoes kept coming off because that keeps happening too.
That does happen from time to time.
Yeah.
For some reason, my guy needs to tie his shoelaces because he be losing them shoes way too often.
He needs those little like Ninja Turtle heads you used to clip on the front of your shoes when you were kids to keep them tied. That's what he needs.
And we have Carlito's back. Which man, I honestly don't know because I like Dave though.
I like Dave too.
I like Dave. I
Because
really
Drew's
do.
right. Because Drew's right. Like, maybe he doesn't get to be WWE, but we should give a championship to Dave that he is worthy of.
Yes.
You're
Yeah.
right. You know, just to spite Drew McIntyre, we are
That's
going
right.
to give the 24/7 title of the week to his neighbor Dave, who deserves a championship more than Drew McIntyre.
That's
Which,
right.
by the way, you know, Drew definitely does because he's fucking awesome.
And-
But
By the end of this, episode, Dave will have held a title longer than Drew McIntyre. So.
And on that note, thank you so much to everyone for tuning in to another episode of Rebook. We hope you enjoyed it as much as we enjoyed making it. We'll catch you next week with plenty more fun stuff to talk about. There's going to be no bonus episode because my ass is going to China,
we're all over.
and we're on the road, and putting this episode together was already a pain in the ass as it was on the internet. I don't even know if it's going to work. So fingers crossed, everyone. If you're seeing this episode, it worked out. In any case, though, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Like and subscribe on YouTube. Give us a follow on wherever you decide to listen to your podcast, whether it's Apple Podcasts, Spotify, you know, all that good stuff. And we will see you next week.